spending our hours to make money. If you're young, then you should take risks.
For sure. So give me just a little bit of background on how you went from, graduating law school to having multiple firms now, having multiple lawyers. How did that come about?
Sure. So I graduated law school from Ole Miss. I had this concept based on my everyday experiences growing up, and that concept is something that we all see, franchises. I was one of those people that always wondered, how is it that this business, is on every corner? It could have been a McDonald's, it could have been a gas station, it could have been a car dealership. And so I always saw myself as the type of person that one day I'm going to have a business, and I'm going to have a business on every corner. I did my homework and I studied. And so my businesses have gone from not only every corner, but into multiple states. And so I'm in 3 different states, going into my 4th state. I have 6 offices, but I was able to do that based on things that I see on a daily basis.
Okay, gotcha. So I remember talking to you after the Community He Talks video we did, and you told me that you had sustained some early success when you're 25, 26, early on in your career. How did you stay humble in the midst of that early success?
I was fortunate that in my early 20s, I made $1 million. I believe I was 24 at the time when I made my first $1 million. I would say to anybody, that makes a bunch of money, just spend it. No, really, just spend it and enjoy it. I mean, because if you grew up like me and didn't have, 2 nickels to rub together, then you're gonna spend the money. And there was nothing that anybody could tell me to make me do anything different. And so I spent it. And I've always been humble. And I think when you come from nothing, you're gonna be humble. I think what really changes is the people around you, because now you're spending money and you're buying things. And I think because of that, they feel differently, but you're actually the same person. You're just buying a bunch of stuff.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha. So this is not a question I had prepared, but you say spend it. Is there a tipping point where it's like, hey, spend it, and hey, don't spend it? Or it was like, hey, as soon as I got it, it didn't matter if it was this amount or that amount, that you were just spending it?
Here's the thing. If you're young, then you should take risks, right? If you're working at fast food, if you're working a job that is sort of mundane, and you really, that's your worst case scenario. So if there's something else you want to do, just go do it, because you can always go back to the job that you're working right now. So it's really not a big fall, but in terms of how much, if you're young, spend it all, because you're gonna get it back. Just do the same things you did to get it in the first place. That's the problem. I mean, sometimes people spend and they get so far away from their base and the things that they did to get them, in that position. It's like a comedian. Like if a comedian tries to cross over and then appeal to a crowd that doesn't think he or she is funny, you kind of got to go back to that base that really, got you to where you were going. So you just got to stay true to that. But I would say spend all the money. Just blow it, man. Yeah, make it rain.
This guy. That's funny, man. That's funny. Yourself now, talking to yourself 10 years ago, what advice would you give yourself back then?
If I could talk to myself today, 10 years ago, I would tell myself, I would say, self, ask for everything. Ask for so much money that it shocks the conscience. I would do that.
Okay. That's new.
Whether,
I've heard that one.
well, whether you have a business or a service and you're starting out, sometimes you don't know how to price, your service or your product. And so price high, ask for as much money as you can, ask for so much money that it shocks your conscience and you can't go wrong. Okay.
I'll note that one down. That's a new one.
That might help you. You see what I'm saying? You might.
You might. Never heard that. I like that though. That's
charge high.
That's good. Charge high. Got you. So my next segment, I call it 3, 2, 1. The first question is 3 practical tips that a young person can start tomorrow to start gaining success?
So first, I'm going to define success in terms of money and dollars and cents, because I think every single young person wakes up every day to make money. Okay. We just don't talk about it that way. Okay. You know, we talk about the things that we love, we talk about, but we're essentially spending our hours to make money. So the first thing that I would say is focus on whatever makes you the most money. What's money to one person is something different to the next. Is relative to who you are.
Gotcha.
But you know, focus on. I'm not gonna say what you like to do, okay, but I'm gonna say focus on what drives the most revenue for a young person. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
If you're a young person and you're in college and you're in to training, right? Okay. You have to figure out how you can monetize, you know, training. How do I monetize training? And if there's something else that you do, let's say that something else that you do might be working at a mall, right? If you can figure out how to monetize training, and you know what you're making by working at the mall, mm-hmm, and if you can make more training than what you can earn at the mall, then give up working at the mall, go all in on the training, and then figure out how you can duplicate yourself. So focus on what makes the most money. Think about how you can duplicate yourself. And I guess the third and the final thing would be just find some time to take a break from it all. Because if you're chasing money, if you're chasing something that can change your financial future, that means you're going to be working really hard. That means you're going to be putting a lot of time in it. And then third, I think, most importantly, you need to find time to relax.
Like that. I think I know the answer to this one. I'm going to ask it anyway. What's one maxim or ideology you religiously do business by? I think I know the answer to that. But
I would say treat other people like you want to be treated. I think that's the number one rule for any business or for any service. Don't sell somebody something that you wouldn't buy. Yeah. All right. Make sure the product is good. Yep. And don't treat somebody how you wouldn't want to be treated. And if I could use a restaurant as an analogy,
for sure.
Think about, and this is for anybody watching. Think about your best restaurant experience.
Okay.
When you walked into the restaurant, the environment, the ambiance just immediately grabbed you, and you felt good when you walked into that restaurant, and the service was just unbelievable. Before you could pick your glass up and take a drink, they're trying to fill it up.
That's that Del Frisco. They
own it.
They topping it off, yeah.
Right, and the food was not only good, but the presentation was awesome.
Yep.
Okay, and when they brought the bill, you ain't had no problem paying it because the experience was unbelievable. Yeah. So when I say treat other people like you want to be treated, I mean if that experience that eating experience, that dining experience that you've ever had gives you an idea of what I mean, you want to walk away from your interactions with people, your experience with people, and you want them to walk away feeling like, man, that was like the best meal I ever had. I'm full, and then I want to come back and do it again and eat more.
For sure. That's all I got.
All right, cool.
I appreciate that, man.
Thanks for having me.
Funny guy, man.
That's
it. All right. I appreciate it.
I got a check on me. I got a check on me.